Hi there. So this is my KTM 660 SMC, and I contend that this is one of the most insane bikes ever sold to the British public. I'm sure you have your own candidates for that role, but let me explain about it, see if you agree. It was a pure Supermoto bike. Now a lot of bikes have Supermoto styling and they're sort of quite sanitised for the public. This is purely a competition motorcycle. They sold many of them when they first come out, not registered for the road, to compete in competitions. There was a KTM sponsored Supermoto Cup called the, I think it's the Bracken Cup, where people were buying these to compete in there. In fact, if you buy an early model, sort of a 2004, 2005, you often find her on like 2007 or 8 plates, because they weren't registered for the road until many years after they'd been, well, many, but a few years after they'd been raced, so be careful. Now, as a Supermoto, it's got a phenomenally powerful motor, a strong but light chassis, handles beautifully, but no equipment whatsoever that your average road bike has. For example, there's no electric start, there's no battery, there's no indicators, no neutral indicator light, all the sort of, no tacho, all the basics which you sort of expect, the comforts you'd expect. No fuel gauge. In fact, talking of fuel, it's a tiny tank, 9 litres, you're on reserve by just under 7, so you're always filling the thing up. Anyway, so when KTM did produce this, it was very hard to get it legal for the road. As I said, they didn't mind too much because it was competition, but to get it road legal, they had to make a few modifications. So when the bike was sold to the public, it had a restricted airbox, and it also, almost unbelievably, had a bolt in the carburettor which stopped you opening it past half throttle. This meant that when we went for testing, it's classed as a 32 brake horsepower motorcycle, and that's how it was sold to the public. A lowish power, quietish motorcycle. Now of course, dealers, when they got them, ripped out the airbox restrictions, took the bolt out of the carburettor and sold them as full power machines, which is what this one is, and with an aftermarket exhaust as well. It's at least double the horsepower claimed by KTM. You really couldn't do that nowadays, could you? Sort of, thinking of Volkswagen, didn't they do that? Okay, so let me now just show you around the bike and show you some of the features, or lack of features, and then we'll start it up and go for a test ride. So let's have a closer look from the back and from actually sitting on the bike itself. So as I said, basic instrumentation, no tacho, nothing really. There's an indicator light here, but there's no indicators fitted or switch gear for that. Oh yeah, you might wonder what this piece of wood is for. The headlight in this plastic case here has absolutely no adjustment whatsoever and points at the trees. So when I took it for an MOT a couple of weeks ago, basically if you shove that piece of wood in there, you push it up and down until you get the headlight adjustment right. You need a friendly MOT man to be able to do that. Mine's got heated handlebar grips, aftermarket, because I used to go to Dragon Rally regularly on this bike, February, and you need heated grips. And that pretty much is your instrumentation. There's not a lot there, is there? Right, let's look down at the fuel tap and chokes, because they're quite unusual. Note I said chokes. So obviously here's the fuel tap, and you'll spend a lot of time switching that to reserve because the bike doesn't go very far on one tank full. And you'll notice a bright red button. Now you'd think that's for choke. Well, it sort of is, but the bike's got 2 chokes. Now you probably can't see, but right down at the back there's another choke. There you are, you can just about see it. A black one and a red one. The red one's easy to access, the black one isn't. The red one is what's called a hot choke. So if it gets overly hot and won't start, or you flood it or something or other, you can pull the red choke out. And if you want to start it from cold, you pull the black choke out. So you use the black one most. Which one can you access easiest? The red one. I haven't used the red one very often, only once or twice when it's got really hot. But rarely do I need that. As you can see, 17-inch wheels, pretty sticky tyres on. That's a new one on the back, which I have to remember when I take it out for a spin because it hasn't really got full grip yet. Lovely big discs, front suspension, moves a long way. Single disc, stops like heck. There's your unadjustable headlamp, As you can see, it just fits there by some rubber clamps. There's your decompressor for starting it, and that, folks, is about it. So talking of starting it, what I'm going to do now is show you how to start this bike. First, check the kill switch is not on. You'd be in trouble if you've messed that up. Fuel on. Black choke out. Incidentally, if you ever ride one of these and leave it for a week or two, the fuel in the carb goes off a bit and they're really hard to start. Always turn the fuel off before you stop, so empty out the carb a bit if you can. Right, see if I can get this thing going. Decompressor, couple of kicks. There we are, second proper kick. Warms up really quick. So now I think I need to get the gear on, go for a little ride, see what it's like on the road. Okay, let's go a little ride. At the moment it's got what I call the touring gearing on. So when I went to the Dragon Rally, most people drop a tooth on the front sprocket, which is what I kind of call wheelie mode, or two teeth, which is insane mode. It's just the pickup that's immense. They go a bit slow, the tyres aren't warmed up yet, and the back one's quite new. In fact, yeah, going round here. Oops, I'm on reserve. Okay, that means I've got just a few miles to go and get some fuel. So what I'm going to do is turn around and fuel it. But the pickup, you see coming out of the bends, you regularly get the back end sort of going sideways a bit. I'll better be careful here because of a slippy back tyre. Back in a 60 zone. Petrol station's a couple of miles down here. You have to watch for gravel around here, it's a nightmare. Gravel and a thrash tyre. Can I pull a wheelie? Yes. Am I going to on a public highway? Of course not. Woo! Such fun! Well, I filled up. Got a whole 7.03 litres in my 9 litre tank, so I've got 50 miles to have some fun. Beautiful around here. are excellent. Obviously the front drops down massively when you brake because of the long forks. I say I've used it a lot for off-roading, did a lot of green laning. I've got a spare set of wheels, 18-inch and 21 with knobblies on. Only trouble is it's got so much power that I ripped most of the knobbles off the rear knobbly in about 400 miles. You go on the road between green lanes and you have the whole thing sliding. Open it up, you can side with the back ends out. Oh hey, go on this. And slow to 30. It's 5-speed gearbox. Don't really need any more. But I'll show you the lack of flywheel effect up here in a little while. Because although if you're a British bike rider or think you know what a big signal's like, and I got a 500 single aerial with BSAs and other stuff, this has got no flywheel effect. You try and potter along in a high gear and it just shakes and judders and you can end up stalling it even. But anyway, I'll show you that out of this junction. Right, here's the lack of flywheel effect. So I'm doing 30, that's 4th I think, 5th, 4th, so I can do 30 in 3rd. I'm not sure you can feel it shaking, I certainly can. If I try and accelerate in 4th, yeah, it's shaking away. It does not like 30 in 4th. That's a bit better, it'll pull afterwards. But hey ho. Right, we're going off down here, down at Hadams. Let's try 4th at 33. Oh, no, don't like it. Oh. Yep, there we go. No flywheel effect whatsoever, no oomph, no torque. Well, it's got some. More like a fast 2-stroke. Careful around here, there's parked cars and people. 30 again. Right, we're out of the 30 zone. Into warp drive. Still a bit worried about the back tyre not bedding yet. It tends to slide at the best of times. I've only done about 20 miles on it. This should help warm it up though. Watch out, Crow. So we've got one of those horrible surfaces, oh shaking again, oh, like a flywheel. One of those surfaces again round here. They love in country lanes. They chuck wet tarmac down, well wet molten bitumen stuff. Chuck the stones on top and leave us to do the rolling in. Dreadful setup. Back to 30. Now at the moment it's got the highest gearing in I've got, and you can see the acceleration is pretty immense, and if you do go down a bit, you just front end's coming up all the time, which is good by licence if you get seen. Not that I ever do such a thing. Now I've got my earplugs in and I doubt the camera picks up quite how noisy it is, but this bike is so noisy, it's embarrassing. I have got a different pipe with it, I think it's the original, and you put the silencer on and it's not a lot quieter, it is quieter, but it just knocks so many horsepower off it. It flattens it. It just feels like, yeah, it goes okay, but nothing like it does like this. It really is an antisocial bike, which if you don't lose your licence for speeding, wheelies, etc., you might well lose it for get some points for illegal exhaust. Another illegality on it is the small number plate. Many people, the police don't moan about that much, but I have to put a full width one on for the MOT, and when I put a full width one on, I left it on a trip up the Midlands, just because what the heck, and by the time I got there, the left hand side of the plate had melted, the numbers had sort of melted off, because the exhaust is right where the plate has to be. I thought it was far enough away, but obviously not. Right, some nice lanes down here in a bit. There's some long green lanes off on that road on the right there. There's some lovely green lanes around here, and if you look at my channel, you'll see I did loads and loads of green lanes and videoed them on this with full knobblies on. Loads of deep water. You really can do deep water on this. They have to move the breathers off the bottom of the car, suck it in, oddly. They have to move the breathers up high, and then you ain't got a problem. Anyway, I'll shut up for a bit until we're out of this big long 30 zone. So we're back in a 60 zone. Not that it's good for hurtling up here. Small passing places, gravel. Hertfordshire is a beautiful county, well, East Herts anyway. Some beautiful rides around here, all the way up the Herts Essex borders into Suffolk, right to the east coast. Whoa! Good job I'm sticking to the speed limits. Right, here we go. It does handle beautifully. House here, you have to be a bit careful. No, we're good. Farm coming up. Have to check the drive on that one. Just here. Just noticed my side panels come loose. One of the screws has come out. Look at that. Anyway. Second gear wheelie there, I didn't mean to do that. I just wrapped it on a bit quick. Careful on here, it's gravel and passing points. Just on the right there's an entrance to a green lane. And if you look at my other videos, green laning in the snow on an aerial, you might recognise it going up there. I took my old aerial out in the thick snow. That was fun. So we're just coming into a village where I live now. There's gravel on the roads where we're doing that horrible road surface. Very narrow roads, bit of traffic. So I think that'll do for my road test. I hope you've enjoyed coming along with me for the journey. That was fun. I did enjoy that. So now you've had a little ride with me and seen how it goes and know a bit about the bike. Do you agree yet? It's one of the most insane bikes ever sold. So insane that they had to sell it with a bolt in the car to stop you opening the throttle up to get through the legal modulation laws. Anyway, oh, and just to add to the excitement, if you're still not convinced, the service intervals are tiny. You have the hours the engine runs recorded on the speedo unit, and you have to do a full oil and filter, 2 filters, change every 24 hours. I think the valves have to be checked every 10 hours. I must admit I haven't done mine for a little bit. And if you do have to adjust the valves, you need 10-inch long fingers, the width of drinking straws. So basically, you're either servicing it, riding around like an utter hooligan, popping wheelies and annoying everybody, or you're filling it up with petrol. One of the 3. Yeah, so I hope you've enjoyed my video. If you have, please click like and subscribe to my channel if you don't already. And also please leave a comment. I'd like to know, do you agree? Does it hit the target of most insane bike ever sold? Do you think there's worse? Anyway, catch you later. Bye.